Hello, my friends. Katie Day here with a bonus episode of the Real Advice Podcast. Today is a little bit different of an episode. Rather than an interview, we've got a panel style webinar that I wanted to share with everyone. We are going over how to win as a buyer's agent in a seller's market. So I am joined by Candace Decker out of Cape Coral, Florida, Marley Presswood out of Charleston, South Carolina, and Robert Mack out of Irvine, Orange County, California, to talk about what they are doing and their teams are doing to help their clients win in multiple offer situations. So I'm excited to dig in. So we'll just go ahead and get this started, but can't wait to hear your feedback. Let me know what you think. All right. Hey guys, it is 2:00 Central. We will get started here in about a minute. I'm super excited for today. Just a few kind of like housekeeping things. If you guys have comments or things like that, please feel free to drop them in the chat. Also, where you guys are from, drop them in the chat. If y'all have questions, it's helpful if you can drop them in the Q&A section, just so that we can keep an eye on the questions and answer them accordingly as we move through the afternoon today. But how's everyone doing? What's going on?
Awesome.
Everything is great. We're just trying to keep our heads above water in this market. Hopefully we can share some nuggets today so people can walk away a bit better than they were this morning.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Cool. We got Los Angeles, Mike Rolowitz in Jacksonville, California. Good deal. Awesome. We'll get started here in about a minute. Danbury, Connecticut. Good deal. Marley, how's the weather in South Carolina today?
It is so good. It's beautiful outside. The blue skies. I'm staring at the water right now and palm trees. I love it. I might end up going away for a second. I realized I was on the wrong internet. This is what happens.
We'll do it. Do it now. Do it now.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
How's the weather in Texas?
It is gorgeous out. It is. I can give you the exact temperature. I just went and grabbed lunch. It's actually 79 and sunny. So yeah, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
It's a balmy 90 in Florida today.
Oh my goodness. I'm sweating right now.
I can't believe it's
talking about it. I can't imagine. Is it humid?
No, it's not. So this is the ideal time to be in Florida because it's beautiful and there's not a lot of humidity.
I can't do humidity. It's one thing. It's like my nemesis.
Marley, are you on the right internet?
Yeah, can you see me?
We can.
Can you see me or
we
no?
Can. Yeah. Just wanted to make sure you were on the right internet for us to go ahead and get started. All right, y'all, how's it going? Happy Thursday. My name is Katie Day. I am a real estate agent down here in Houston, Texas. I am so excited to talk to y'all today about multiple offers and how to win as a buyer's agent in today's market. And just some tips, tricks, tactics, and things that these three rock stars are doing and their teams are doing on a regular basis. I am so excited to host these three people today. I love them all very dearly, and I'm just really excited. So we've got Candace Decker out of Cape Coral, Florida. We have Marley Presswood out of Charleston, South Carolina, and the Robert Mack out of Irvine, California. So as I said, we're going to be talking about multiple offers and how to win as a buyer's agent with multiple offers. Today, we're going to kind of break that down into kind of three sections. First, kind of the conversations that you're having with people before they're your clients. So customers, people that you're meeting, things like that, things that we're doing. As far as ongoing stuff with clients that you're actually working with on a regular basis. And then what we do as far as sending offers and really getting to that closing table. So I guess before we kick off, let's talk a little bit about what you guys are seeing in your markets and kind of what you're experiencing just for more context for everyone. So Candace, why don't you kick it off?
Yeah, so my market is Southwest Florida, Cape Coral, Fort Myers. Right now in Cape Coral, we have a 1.2 month supply of inventory. I would say a month, 2 months ago, we were in 2, 3, 4 offers coming in on a really good listing. And now, because it's high season, so we have our spring breakers, our snowbirds. This is just a really hot time for us. We have offers that we're writing 100,000 over list price, and some are not getting accepted.
That's crazy. Speaking of offers 100,000 over, Robert Mack, let's go to you. What's going on in California?
I'm going to echo what Candace said. I mean, we're dealing with significantly low inventory. Inventory is down like 70% from last year. We got 1.9 months of inventory right now. Tons of millennial buyers flooding the market, and not enough properties to sell. Actually, I just got an offer accepted for 160,000 above asking price. So we are dealing with the same thing right now. I think nationwide, we're all dealing with very similar situations. And I service the central Orange County area down to the south and coast. And if you guys don't know where that's at, it's just in between Los Angeles and San Diego.
Awesome. Good deal. Marley, as far as in Charleston, what are you guys seeing there?
All right, we're very similar to I think we're unique. So right now we have about half a month of inventory, sometimes a little bit lower than that. We are seeing multiple offers with every home. 100,000 over, not so much. I'm not saying that, but we're competing with anything between 3 to 15 offers. Right now, the average original sale price to close price is 98%. So not a lot of people are getting over asking, but more so what they're asking for. So that's what we're experiencing. You have to get creative with it, but it's been a fun market. It's just challenging.
Yeah, for sure. So I appreciate you guys sharing that just for context and so people can understand kind of where we're at. Obviously very busy everywhere, but like the months of inventory and levels of inventory obviously vary a little bit market to market. One of the things that we wanted to do as well was have people from multiple parts of the country, because we know that Florida's hot. We know that California's hot. I don't know if a lot of people know what happens in South Carolina, so it's one of those things that everyone talks about how crazy it is in California, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's interesting to hear from people across the country to get, kind of that differing points of view. So what I want to dig into first is, kind of the initial conversations you're having with people, obviously, a lot of times we set up consultations or things like that. So before someone's a client or as you're kind of in that client acquisition process, what are the things that you all are doing in order to differentiate yourselves and add that value from the beginning? And, really determine if it's going to be a good fit moving forward.
So right off the bat, I want to know what is in the mind of the buyer, because what we think they might know is not what may actually be in their head. So I want to actually get in their head and know, what do you think is happening in the market right now? It's a great question to ask buyers because you're going to get a lot of different answers and it's going to tell you right away where you need to start in the process. We have been making sure that we get our buyers into our office, and our consultations have gone from 45 minutes to an hour and a half because we want to do a lot of time in the office explaining what's actually happening in the market, showing them the data, pulling up the homes on the MLS and saying, this is reality right now.
Yeah, no, that's super important. Kenny wants to know how he can find out what is in his head. We're not sure what's going on up there, man. So good luck to you on that adventure as well. But yeah, no, that's super important just to show and educate people as you're getting to know them. Robert or Marley, did you guys have anything else to add?
I can add something real quick. So, I think in this new world, everybody's kind of used to this on-demand society, right? So we've gone from LP Mama to ALM, and a lot of buyers are just like, show me the house. And so a lot of agents have gotten very comfortable not going through buyer consultation. And I think now more than ever, it's important to actually get back to that. One of my favorite quotes is, every minute you spend in preparation saves you about 10 minutes in execution. So think about anything you do. Like if you're going to go on a trip, you actually make a list and then you pack that stuff in your suitcase versus throwing stuff in. Really sitting down and spending 45 minutes to an hour and a half with a buyer, understanding what they think is going on in the market, and then sharing with them what is really going on in the market is just going to set them up for success. every time a home sells in our current market, the next one gets listed for more. We're seeing prices go up anywhere from 1% to 3% every sale. So if it takes a buyer an average of 3 missed opportunities before their offer is accepted, they're potentially spending anywhere from 5 to 10% more on that house had they had the right strategy from the very beginning. So my personal opinion is to really set your buyers up for success. You've got to get them into the office and get on the same page.
Yeah, for sure. So Kat made the comment that many buyers don't want to take that extra step to meet in the office for that buyer appointment. And it's our job to show the value of that, which I know is sometimes difficult, right? I remember the script that I'm sure we've all used and heard is has anyone taken the time to show you, through the process or gone over the process with you or whatever it may be. I guess what have you guys done to, get more people into the office or on Zoom, whatever their comfort level is? What are some tactics that you guys have for getting that buyer consultation?
I'll go.
I think-
So
go ahead.
go ahead. You can, yeah. Okay. So I really, with that phone call that we have at first, so the phone call, I kind of talk about the market. Like, hey, it's really important for us to go over the market and really just deep dive into everything that we should expect in the next 3 to 6 months. I don't get a lot of pushback. I think that a lot of buyers know that this market is not like any other market. And if you're going to want to buy a house, you need all of your ducks in a row 5 weeks before you even start looking at houses. So I don't get a lot of pushback. People, I think now more than ever, people are more willing to be a better buyer. They know that if they're not well prepared, that they're not going to get that house. So why waste your time go looking at a house if your ducks are not in a row? So I just explain that over the phone and instantly book an appointment with them. If they're not willing to go into your office and they're not willing to write an offer that is going to win. So you might as well just not waste your time.
Yeah, I love that, Marley. So I've been telling my team the same thing, that if they're not serious enough to meet with us face to face, and they're probably not serious enough right now. And right now we have to work with 4 times the amount of buyers, right, to have the same amount of production. So, it's really hard for agents to say no, but in this market, we have to be okay with saying, if we can't meet, I'm sorry, I can't help you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got to fall into the wheelhouse of our business model, right? So I think anybody watching this right now needs to understand, like, what is your avatar? Who do you want to work with? If they don't fall within that criteria, then they may be just a distraction. And we like to use fear as a motivating factor because most people, move away from fear versus towards pleasure. So saying something simple like, if you knew that meeting with us for 30 or 45 minutes could save you potentially $30,000, would that be of value to you? And they're like, oh, well, what do you mean? Well, if we don't meet, we don't get on the same page, it could take you 3 or 4 or 5 attempts before your offer is accepted. I'd rather you get accepted on the first or second. All you have to do is spend 30 to 45 minutes with me and we can move forward. And like the lady said, if they're not willing to do that, they just might not be the right client. But with Zoom, it makes things easier. You can do a phone call. It doesn't really matter. We just want to get on the same page.
And, I don't know who's going to say, I don't want to save $30,000,
Yeah.
So yeah, no, those are all really good points. I guess, are there any other points that you guys want to make or have as far as kind of that initial customer acquisition and consultation phase of things that y'all are doing or saying or anything like that?
So at the end of the consultation, I'll say, so now that we've gone over what's actually happening in the market and knowing what you know now, are you prepared to buy a home in this market? I want them to say yes, because I want them to be committed to it and agree, so that when we're going through it and they're frustrated, we can resort back to that. Hey, we talked about this and we set all of these expectations.
Yeah, for sure. One thing Kenny made a comment on too was sometimes you have to do the driveway consultation. So that's where I think, kind of the old school LP mama, the newer appointment, and thing as far as, framework now, perhaps you do go show that one home, and then you do that consultation at that house or at the nearby Starbucks where you go through all of these things. But I think, it definitely needs to be one of your first meetings being a consultation and kind of going over what's actually happening in the market for sure. Marley or Robert, did you guys have anything else you wanted to add on this subject?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of meet at the house at all. One, safety, guys. That's what we learned in school. But it shows a different level of motivation if they're willing to meet you at your office. They're taking time out of their day to come meet you. It's a business meeting. And if you're not going to invest in yourself and take 30 minutes to talk to someone that's going to advise you to make the biggest investment of your life, then are you really ready to buy a home in this market? One thing I do talk about in this meeting is we are very low in inventory. So if someone wants a $600,000 house with a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, we're going to have like 5. So that freaks people out. One thing I go over is like, well, let's look at the pending sales for this month. I'm like, okay, well, we had 250 pending sales this month. So houses are coming onto the market. You just have to be patient. We're going to look at the market every single day. And while they come onto the market, throughout the day, we're going to talk like, hey, do you want to go see this one? So don't feel like there's not going to be options out there for you. You just have to be patient and wait for them.
We're a little bit different. So, I totally get where Marley's coming from. My personal opinion is every area is very different. We've got people from probably all over the country, maybe even internationally watching this right now. You need to understand the type of buyer in your market. So for us, it's extremely competitive. There are tons of agents that are willing to do almost anything. So we actually will meet a client at the property and we'll do the ALM script. So we'll schedule the appointment, but we let them know like, hey, we're moving fast. We're going to meet you at this property. If it works out, we're going to talk about how to leverage your offer to win. But if you don't get this property, are you willing to take 30 to 45 minutes so that we can plan and strategize for the next property that comes up? And 9 times out of 10, they're good with it. So we've actually sold probably 40% of the homes this year just by meeting people and building rapport. If we were to eliminate that, I'm not sure how that would affect our team numbers. So we're still doing it. I don't know about Candace. Are you still doing the ALM type kind of script where it's like, let's meet and then build rapport after?
And just for the people that may not know, ALM. Appointment.
Yeah.
Appointment,
location, motivation. Those are the 3 key factors we want to know before we meet anybody. And then from there, we can fill in the gaps.
So our target market is second home buyers, and usually they're here on vacation or they're retired. So they absolutely love to come in and meet with us. So we don't have that pushback. So we will go show them one and then have them come in. So we do a little bit of both, but for the most part, we're getting people in the office.
Yeah, for sure. So I think one other thing that we didn't really touch on was kind of like, obviously we know that this market's challenging. Obviously we know we're going to show our clients and potential clients, what the market looks like right now, what to expect. Do you guys go into kind of like your proven strategy to win, or the things that you guys do in that first initial buyer consultation, talking about, coming soon listings or the rapport you have with other agents or things like that?
So I call expireds, and I always have properties that I know the seller wants to sell, but they don't want to put it on pocket listing possibly. But now we don't have coming soons, and we don't have that option in our MLS either. But what I will do is I will tell them, if I come across a property that may work for you, I'm going to call you right away. And it does happen quite a bit. So that's really the benefit of cold calling sellers right now, is you can match buyers and, be the hero.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's something that's important. I think a lot of people, just kind of set up that search and send them properties each day. So, if you do call expireds, or you do call for sale by owners, or you look at old terminated listings, things like that, to, obviously drum up more listings for yourself, that's great. But also if you can, get inventory for your buyers, that's even better. Cool. So as far as once you guys are working with a client, so you guys have the consultation, they want to work with you, you want to work with them, y'all, have some sort of regular cadence in which you're going to look at homes, right? What would you say are things that you need to do, or things that y'all do, on that ongoing showing basis. So like, I know one thing that we do is we always call the listing agent or text the listing agent before we show to know if there are multiple offers or if there's an offer deadline. What are some other things to either help prepare for yourself or for your clients that you all do on a regular basis?
So, my recommendation is if you're showing properties, before you call the listing agent, read the MLS in its entirety. A lot of agents, actually, us included, have some detailed private remarks. A lot of agents are using supplements and notes in the supplement section so you can learn more about the seller situation. Nothing is more annoying as a listing agent than to get a call from an agent that's representing a buyer asking you questions that you've already addressed in the MLS. So before you even reach out to the agent, do your research, do your homework, and then reach out to the agent and fill in the gaps or fill in the blanks. But I will tell you this, I personally will list more homes than will help buyers. And so I know what these listing agents are going through. So, you know, a lot of times these properties are getting 20 or 30 offers. That means, you know, potentially 80 to 100 agents are texting and calling and emailing and all this stuff. I only want to get the information I need, and then I want to back off and let the agent breathe. Because nobody wants to work with a needy buyer's agent. And if I come off as being needy, then I may be compromising my client's ability to get their offer accepted. So I kind of walk this fine line where it's the agent, I'm going to get the information that I need if I can get in touch with them. And I'm going to check in just enough to stay on the radar, but never be annoying. That's one thing I highly recommend.
Yeah, 100%. Candace or Marley, what do you got?
I was just going to agree. You want to be able to build rapport, so you can't look like that needy agent that's going to be needy throughout the whole transaction. So if you're calling the seller agent for something that's already on MLS, a lot of times on our notes, it says like, we are in a multiple offer situation, accepting offers until X, Y, and Z. We'll review it here. So if you seem needy, they're automatically not, it's losing rapport from them. So I get a lot of my offers accepted because of the rapport that I'm building, not because I am the best contract or offer. So I was just echoing on Robert.
And you have to translate this information to your clients, because buyers are eager and they're excited and they're antsy and they want to know. And they're like, any updates yet? Any updates yet? So at the consultation, we actually go through, hey, I'm going to show you kind of what it's like in the seller's or the listing agent's shoes, and help them understand that nobody wants to work with an agent that's needy. In fact, Kyle Whistle posted something, I think 6 months ago, where he was like, when you're a buyer's agent and you're submitting an offer, you're almost like you're on audition, right? Like you're on an audition, you have to show them that you're the person that they want to work with. So letting the clients know ahead of time, like if you don't get an update for a day or two or even 3, it's not that, you know, they're not looking at your offer. It's that they're processing 20 to 30 offers. That takes time. I'll be in touch with you when you're ready, when they're ready, so that they're not wondering what's going on.
Yeah. And I think the other side of that coin, right, is that you should be contacting your client multiple times per day after you've submitted that offer. So if today's, you know, Thursday afternoon, I submit my client's offer, I'm going to let them know at the end of the day today, hey, we don't have any update, but once I have one, I'll let you know. I'm going to call them again in the morning or text them again in the morning. Hey, don't have any news, but I'll let you know. Because your client is sitting there freaking out on pins and needles. And like, you know, you don't need to be calling the listing agent every single time if you know that that listing agent is going to, you know, decide at the end of the day on Friday or whenever it is.
But buyers, actually everybody in the world loves to make up their own stories. You know, something goes wrong and they associate a meaning to it. And so I found that our buyers are making up these crazy stories like, oh, the seller's leveraging our offer to get more, or, oh, the seller's holding it to let more people in. And the truth is it's not happening. They're inundated with offers. They're inundated with correspondence. They're just taking time to go through it all. We'll hear back from them when they're ready. Now, are there agents doing that kind of stuff? Of course. But we don't know that for sure. So why are we making up this elaborate story? And why are you freaking yourself out when the truth is, hang tight for a couple of days. We'll hear back soon. You gotta keep your clients calm. As the agent, we're the rock. If you're freaking out, then they're 100% gonna freak out. And that's what I tell all the agents on my team too, is you need to be solid. You need to be a rock. Your clients need to feel like they can count on you to get the job done. And if you're freaking out, I think game over.
Candace, what do you got?
So switching gears just a little bit, in my market, there are still listing agents who are accepting offers the same day that the property goes on the market. It's crazy. So what is so important for me and my buyers is to make sure that they get in the door immediately because of this reason, right? We don't have listings always hitting the market on Thursday and offers are being held until Sunday. So I have 2 showing assistants, and my showing assistants are available all the time. So let's say that I'm at my son's football game and a buyer calls, this property just hit the market, they want to get in the door in an hour, they're getting in the door. So I never want to be the reason that my buyer does not get in to see the property to make the offer. So for me right now, it's just speed.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to leverage time, because obviously you can't be available 24/7. And that's helpful. So yeah, I think the other thing too that we've had some difficulty with lately as well is like my clients want to sleep on it, or they want to think about it, or whatever it may be. And as Candace said, like speed is super important. So like not only in seeing the home, but once you see it, making that decision. And I think that like Marley, we were talking about this earlier, Glenn is like, if you sleep on it, you won't sleep in it. But it's super true, right? So it's like, I think that's something else that you need to ensure that you're communicating to your clients, is that they need to be, if this home checks all the boxes and it's in the price range you want to spend or you're comfortable spending, like you need to be ready to make that offer.
A lot of I'm not sure how it works in your areas, but for us, we have an inspection period, right? So I always tell my clients, I'd much rather you submit an offer and then think about it. And if you wake up in the morning and you feel like you're making a huge mistake, you can cancel with no penalty. But you sleeping on it now and thinking about it, it might be the reason why you miss out on it. So let's do the right thing. Let's submit the offer. Let's lock the seller in. If you have any remorse, any doubt, any concern, we can talk about it then. And if cancellation is your only option, you can do that. But let's not miss out by not submitting the offer.
Yeah, for sure. Anything else as far as ongoing, like obviously before we send in the offer, before we start writing the offer, we'll get into that next, but like anything else as far as when you're showing your clients or, the ongoing process with them, Marley? Did you have something?
Well, I just feel like the way that you treat the buyers. Can y'all hear me? I know my internet's not. So as Katie was saying, you want to talk to them 3 times a day when you put in an offer. So think of it if like your mom was in the hospital and she was sick and you're waiting for the doctor to call you back and see like what's happening. You want that doctor to talk to you as much as possible. And like, she's okay. So talking to your buyers, think of it that way, because that's how their stomach's feeling. And then with the sellers, think of them as you went on a date with them. You don't want to, like, you want to date these people, but you don't want to like freak them out by calling and texting 30 times a day. Like, play it cool, like make them like you, make them want you. So that's the way I visualize both of those.
Yeah, we're always playing hard to get in my market.
Yeah, the analogies might get weirder and weirder as we go on. Okay, so moving on to actually writing the offer, and then we'll go into kind of terms and things to make your offer more competitive. So when we're actually sending the offer, I think obviously you don't want to be needy, you don't want to blow someone up, but I think that it's important to get in touch with the agent before you write that offer to understand what's important to the seller, right? Are they building a new home? Are they retiring? Are they upsizing, downsizing? Whatever they're willing to tell you or share with you will be helpful for you to craft that offer, right? Because if maybe they're moving and they need extra time, a leaseback could be beneficial or things like that. What are some other things that you guys do as far as sending in offers to listing agents to ensure, or what do you like to see? Because I know, I personally am about 85 to 90% listings. So I know what I like, but what do you all like to see, or what do you all like to send when you're actually sending an offer as far as like?
So I think presentation is everything, like you said. And when I receive an offer, I want to see a summary of the information of the offer. I want it to be detailed. Please don't send me, I actually write this in our offer template now. Do not send me a dot loop email, because I don't have your information. I don't know what brokerage you're with. It's just off the bat. So we have a system that we follow because I want to know if the agent presenting the offer can follow directions or not. So I think you mentioned that earlier. It's like a job interview. Can you follow it or not? It's important.
Yeah, I agree 100%. We have offer instructions on every single one of our listings in MLS, and it has, all the license information. It has, specific, if the seller's names don't match the tax records, whatever it may be. And if I get a contract and it doesn't have those things on there, I'm like, I literally gave it to you. You didn't need to look it up, so that always adds a little, nervousness on my end. Robert or Marley, what else do you guys do kind of before you actually send that offer?
So the echo on Candace is really writing everything out. Like when you open this contract, this is what you're going to see, and these are the important things. And then I also go the extra mile, and I already booked my inspection. I booked the CL 100. I know some of y'all don't have that, but it's a termite inspection. I tell them what the earnest money is, but what's really important is getting that inspection already booked. It shows them like, hey, I want this. The inspection's gonna be in 4 days. It's already scheduled. This is my inspector. This is my lender. Call them. Like, I've gotten so much compliments on the way that I present offers, and I feel like that one thing sticks out so much.
For me, so obviously what Candace and Marley said too, but there's a couple things that we want to do. So first of all, we're going to talk about all the different strategies that we can all use to make our offers stand out. But my personal opinion is like 90% of it comes down to the price, or at least what the seller's going to net. So if you're not submitting if you do all the stuff we talk about today, but your offer, the number is bogus, you're not going to win. So 80% of it, 90% of it is really what's the seller going to net? How can we get their attention? The second thing is kind of touching on what Katie was saying is I do more listings than buyers. I know what I want from the offers that I'm looking to accept. So when I'm sending over the offer for my buyers, I'm offering them the same courtesy. So for me, I'm looking for the best price and terms because that's what the seller wants. But above and beyond that, the seller doesn't care about which agent's representing the buyer. The seller doesn't care about who the lender is. The seller doesn't care as much about what the buyer's motivation is. They just think, oh, when I get an offer, it closes. They don't know that deals can fall apart. So I'm always leveraging that and saying, okay, here's my team. Here's how we operate. Here's our closing ratio. This is the lender. I've known him for X amount of years. The loan is already approved. My buyer's motivation is X. All these different things so that when the agent gets it, there's this holistic package that they're reviewing that gives them and the seller peace of mind. So we're trying to get their attention by price or net, and then we're trying to give them peace of mind knowing that if they take our offer, it's smooth sailing. That's what I want them to feel like. If you take our offer, we're smooth sailing. We're going to coast and close escrow on time.
Yeah. And with that being said too, especially, I should hope that most people are working with a preferred lender, on a pretty regular basis, but we have our lenders call the listing agent, right? So whether or not they pick up or get in touch, it's always nice to have that voicemail. Hey, Robert, this is Katie Day with ABC Lending. Candace Decker just sent over an offer for the Smiths and just want to let you know they're super strong. If you have questions about the file, give me a call, but they've already been through underwriting. They're good to go. We're just waiting for the house. So, really looking forward for the three of us to work together and blah, 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 whatever. Right. So if your lenders aren't doing that for you, you need a new lender. That's all I'm saying.
So I used to do that and none of my lenders could get through because again, the listing agents bombarded.
Yeah.
So when we're sending offers, I'm actually CCing my lender now. And I'm just in the body of the email saying, I've CC'd my lender. If you have any questions about the buyer's financial ability to buy this property, they're ready to talk to you. I know you've got a lot going on, so reach out when you have some time. And a lot of agents have said, thank you so much for giving that information. The fact that you're offering it means I don't really have to check because I feel like you wouldn't offer it if it wasn't good.
Yeah. I figure
everywhere's different.
I get it. And as a listing agent, it's I don't always talk to the lender, but it's if the lender actually takes that time to make that call, I think that shows a lot, one. And two, if you get the voicemail and you want to call them back, you can. But I, as the listing agent, have called lenders before and they're like, well, why are you calling me? Well, why do you care if I've run them through underwriting yet or not? And all of these things. And I'm like, okay, that concerns me, So I think that it just shows that we're a united front. So whether or not, they're able to get in touch is kind of another story. But yeah, that's providing that information or making that call, I think are both key. For sure. Marley, did you have
I
something?
also think it's really important for you. Yeah, I think it's important not only for you to get the lender's information, but to have a well-known, well-liked lender. So someone that's in the community, a lot of realtors know who he is. I feel like with real producers all over the place, it's so easy nowadays. But when I am on the phone with the seller and I tell them like, hey, like, this is my lender, like, do you know him? They like laugh like, oh yeah, I know him. And they're like excited. They're like, oh, I gotta work with this guy. So I think it's important to not get that new guy or Bank of America or anything like that. Get someone that is well liked in the community.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that we all know relationships are everything. So I think that for a lot of what we're saying, like the lender relationships are key, but then the agent to agent relationships are also key, right? So like, I think that, getting involved with your local association or real producers or whatever it may be, where you can make good connections with other agents, that's going to help you out in a lot of ways. It's going to help you out when there's a multiple offer situation and the agent on the other side of the table actually knows you. It's going to help you when you're looking for off-market stuff. And I know Candace sells a lot in a specific neighborhood of Cape Coral. I'm going to call her, right? So having those relationships, I think, is really key. And a lot of people overlook that because they are thinking more competition than collaboration. So yeah, having a cover sheet, understanding what's important to the seller, connecting your lender in some way, whether it be via email or text or phone call or whatever it may be, having a lender that people actually know who they are and like them, all important. One thing that I feel like a lot of people don't do is they don't get a receipt either via email or text message or phone call or something, right? I've had agents call 2-3 weeks later and ask me like, hey, did you receive my offer? And I'm like, yeah, we went under contract 2 weeks ago. What are you talking about? And like, it went to my junk and I didn't know because I don't check my junk mail all day, every day. Did you guys have anything else as far as sending an offer over? Is that tips?
I would say, presentation, like we talked about, we still get offers, like that whole forward from, what would you say, dot loop,
or even copying on the DocuSign envelope. That one grinds my gears.
Or like when people send like 18 attachments with like bank statements and every single one. And I'm just like, so going back to the whole, how to write up an offer, how to submit the offer. Again, they're on audition. So if they're not following those instructions, then they may not be the right people for the job. Because if they can't wow you during the honeymoon period, man, once you get locked in on under contract, it's gonna be a bumpy ride.
Well, maybe is that dating and then under contract would be marriage?
Yes, under contract is definitely marriage or potentially engaged. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. We'll need to work through this one. Okay. So,
Phil.
oh God. All right. So let's get into the nitty gritty. Let's talk a little bit about terms and things to think about. Obviously, we know that price, and net proceeds oftentimes win, not always, but often, right? 80% or more, probably it comes down to price and the net proceeds. Obviously there are other ways to get higher net proceeds. So do you guys want to just kind of go through some things or terms that y'all try to address in multiple offer situations?
I think this goes back to the expectations of setting with the client ahead of time. So I like to hash that all out at the consultation. So right now, for our finance buyers, I want to know, can they waive their appraisal contingency? That has been huge for us winning offers lately. Actually, I just won one that was, our offer was 4,000 under the next highest, but we won it because of that appraisal waiver. So that is really important. And then my clients who they have the cash. So 52% of our transactions here are cash, which is great, except right now we have, the finance offers, they're just getting beat out by the cash. So what we're doing is buyers are waiving their finance contingency, still proceeding with the mortgage. Worst case scenario, they have to pay cash, and hold that property for a couple of days with cash. So for me, it's setting those expectations ahead of time so that when we're prepared to write the offer, there's no questions asked on our end how we're going to handle it.
I don't know why I want to talk first, but I will. So with what Candace said, I do that same thing. Is I also, with the pre-approval, I give a proof of funds as well. And I know that every single buyer is not going to be able to do this, but I show proof of funds. I waive the financing contingency, and then I also let the seller know, like, hey, if they want them to pay cash, they will. So I'm showing you proof of funds. They want to do a mortgage. They're doing like 57%. Or something like that. So only half of it's going to go into financing. So they look more stable. What I also do, that's not price, because we all know that price is important, but knowing what the seller, like, where are the sellers going? And that's something that the buyers always ask us, like, what's their plans? And we're like, I don't know.
Why are they moving?
I have no idea. I don't ask this. I don't ask. But when you're going to present an offer, ask what they're doing. Would a free lease back for 30, 45 days be beneficial to them? The thing is, your mortgage doesn't start until 45 days, so it won't really affect you. So knowing that, that's how I've been beating out a lot of people, is just giving a 30 to 45 day lease back for free. On top of waiving the appraisal is always something beneficial. And the way to make your buyers feel comfortable with that is saying, like, hey, here's the comps. We know it's going to appraise. And if it appraises $10,000 under, this is the mark, like, this is what's happening in the market. You're gonna gain equity next month. So waiving the appraisal is nothing to be stressed out about.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you have buyers that are putting down a significant amount, that's definitely something that's beneficial and looks really good, right? Because higher down payments are always, something that a seller wants. Robert, what were you gonna say?
Could you tell that I'm like ready to talk? I'm like,
I saw you muting and unmuting over there.
I know. It's what is that, Clubhouse? I'm just applauding you guys.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about three things with the appraisal. So a lot of agents in my market have been removing the appraisal contingency, and then when the appraisal doesn't come in at value, they back out. And that's kind of been a trend. So when we submit our offer, we remove the appraisal contingency, and then in notes under other terms, we write, if the appraisal comes in lower, the buyer will pay the difference to satisfy the loan. Sometimes with like buyers that are limited on funds, we may cap it and say, well, the buyer will pay the difference up to $25,000. And that shows the agent and the seller that not only are we waiving the appraisal, but we're already committed to paying the difference. The second thing was, when you're talking to your buyers, a lot of people don't feel comfortable removing the appraisal contingency. And when a lot of agents go, oh, you're going to have to pay the difference. And the buyers don't understand that you're not just paying money to pay the difference. You're actually adding to your down payment to cover the gap. So your money is actually being used towards your equity. And now you're going to have a slightly lower monthly payment to satisfy the appraisal gap. And a lot of buyers feel a lot better when you say that versus, oh, you're going to have to pay the difference. They just don't understand that. And the third thing we're doing is, when we see that the price is going excessively higher than what we feel the value is going to be, we're actually now, if we know that we're going to have to bring in, let's say $50,000 to cover the difference in the appraisal, we're actually offering to pay the seller's closing costs. And so what that does is it keeps the price down at a point where the appraiser is happy. It keeps the cost of the buyer's property taxes lower, and the seller still nets the same amount of money without these outrageous prices.
Yeah. So let's dig into that a little bit more, or things like that, right? So like, obviously price, is key, right? Or dollars in pocket are key. Net proceeds are key. So like, if we don't want to inflate the sales price anymore, some other things that you could do would obviously be, here in Texas, we have a title policy. Normally that's paid for by a seller in a resale situation. So that's a small portion of proceeds, but if the buyer elects to pay that, or, maybe some prorated taxes or things like that, then obviously that would be more money into the seller's pocket. Have you guys done anything else outside of sales price to increase seller proceeds in your markets, Marley or Candace?
I have done earnest money. So I've done hard earnest money where do y'all have earnest money there? It's like good faith checks.
Yeah.
So I always do usually 1.5 to 2% of the purchase price in earnest money. And if I know I'm competing and it's getting very competitive, I will say, in our contract, it will say, like, we're presenting this amount of money now, this amount of money later, and this amount of money goes to person when it closes. So we will either do half of it towards the sellers, all of it towards the sellers. and do an addendum saying like, we are forfeiting X amount of dollars towards the seller. That way they're netting more money, but it's not going to affect the purchase price, but also it shows us that we have more skin in the game. Like, hey, like we're already going to give you $10,000 no matter what. So we are the most secure people. We're the most motivated. You should pick us.
Yeah. And so like in Texas, we have an option period that you pay for, right? So here you pay generally a couple $100. Normally that's applied back to the sales price at closing, but sometimes we'll say that, hey, that option fee isn't going to be applied to the sales price. So normally we don't do 10 grand, but you might do 500 or something more. And that's something that would stick out to everyone else putting down a couple $100. So yeah, that's definitely something that we've worked on here. I think again, and we've touched on this already, but I don't think that we can stress it enough. As you're submitting offers, you need to make sure everything's spelled correctly. Sellers' names are in there correctly. If you close at a title company or with an attorney or something like that, like using the right attorney, if there's an offer deadline, getting it in before that deadline. But one thing that I ask too is, and like Robert said it, like, he's like, sometimes you get an email and it has like 32 different, PDFs on it. You're like, what the hell are these? I always ask agents if they like their offers in one PDF or separate, because I am a separate person. Obviously, like if there's 18 things I don't need, that annoys me, but like, I want to see the contract, the financing addendum, and everything in separate things and not have to scroll through a 50-page document. But some people like that, I guess.
It's funny you say that because I actually like the one attachment, but I don't process offers anymore. My assistant does, and my assistant likes it the way you just mentioned. So,
Yeah.
So everybody's a little bit different. So again, it goes down to asking the agent, asking the seller what they want, and then speaking their language.
100% for sure. Okay, we've got a few questions. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to add before we hop into these real quick?
I had something, but I forgot what I was going to say. So if it comes back,
okay,
I'll unmute myself.
Well, I think too, what we didn't talk about is, so in my market, homes are being sold as is. And a lot of buyers are struggling with that because, we've been conditioned to go through the process, do the home inspection, ask for repairs, negotiate a credit or repair, and then everybody's like, quote unquote, happy. Right now, the market's different, right? We're helping our clients understand that you getting your offer accepted is already a win. So homes are selling as is, and many times we're not even asking for termite work. So when you're talking to your buyers and you're looking for ways to add more to the seller's net, letting them know you're going to buy the home as is, letting them know you're not going to ask for termite repairs. Now, we still do the inspections because in my market, what as is means is anything visual, right? So if we submit an offer and then we find out that the HVAC is completely ruined and that's going to be $10,000, well, that's something that we didn't know about when we were submitting the offer. So we may address that. But for the most part, sellers aren't really wanting to do little repairs here and there. So helping the buyers understand that they're buying a home as is going to just make the experience a lot smoother for you. And that the home inspection now isn't about what we're going to try to ask the seller to repair. It's really more about awareness. Yeah. We want you to know what the product is going to be when you move in, because nobody likes bad surprises.
Yeah.
If you can get them to understand that, it's a lot better for everyone.
Yeah, for sure. All right. We've got about 13 minutes till the top of the hour. We want to be respectful of everyone's time. Question from Elise is, are you dealing with buyers from out of town that can't make it to physical showings and making offers based on virtual showings? Any suggestions on how to do this? She has clients in South Dakota, Brooklyn, blah, 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 2+ hours away that can't run here every time a home shows up on the MLS. Everyone's nodding. Candace, you are in a second home market. I know Southwest Florida is lots of second homes and vacation homes and things like that. So what do you guys do to facilitate that process?
The majority of our buyers are not physically here when they make the offer. And a lot of times they don't actually see the home in person until after closing. So very interesting market. I know I've said this so many times, it's the expectation, right? So when we go through the buyer's consultation, I ask them, are you comfortable buying virtually or are you planning on coming down here? Okay. Then I'm going to know which avenue I have to go down. There are some buyers who just flat out say, I do not feel comfortable, and that's okay, right? We have to work with that. Most of them are okay with buying virtually. So then I go through the process and I explain, here's what's going to happen. as soon as the home that you love, that you see online, we're going to get you in the door right away. We're going to do a FaceTime tour. So my showing assistants will do the FaceTime tour with them. And I explain, hey, I'm going to go through this home and we're going to show you everything that we see wrong with it, because I don't want you to have any surprises later on. And we just set that expectation, and you know, we don't really have a lot of issues after the fact.
Yeah, for sure. Jamie had a question about, so when we were talking about, you know, people putting down 50% cash, or, you know, switching to cash if they needed to, or all of the things, and the clients that we, you know, love that have lots of cash. What about the buyers? You have FHA buyers, or buyers that are putting 3.5% to 5% down. Obviously, you know, we know that the seller wants an 80% down, or 80%. Yeah, they'd love an 80%, $80,000 down payment. What are we doing, or what are you all doing for your buyers that may have less money to put down?
So I just closed 2 veterans this week, both with VA loans, and they both bought virtually. Neither one of them were actually here. And I wrote in 1 week 6 offers for one buyer and 4 offers for another buyer. They were both in lower price points. Neither one of them had a down payment. You know, they were taking advantage of the VA loan. And it was really just about the quantity of offers that we made. So they had to have a more open mind. They broadened the area they were looking in. They became a little bit less picky on certain things. And we just hammered those offers out until we got one. And, you know, I don't know if you guys have any better ideas, but I just said, look, we're going to try our absolute hardest for you. We just have to be patient.
Marley, what are your thoughts?
I mean, that is how it is with those lower price points that have less money to put down. It's fine. One, that's when you really have to build rapport with those seller agents. You really have to write a good, clean offer. That cover letter has to be perfect. So with all those things, and then it's just the amount of like offers that you have to put in. But also, this is, I guess, strange, but VA usually will accept VA. So you can look and see what kind of mortgage they had. And more likely, if they have a VA, you really push the fact that they are either were in the military or in the military now. They have a higher respect for them. Even if their seller agent's like, hey, this is a VA, it's gonna be harder, we shouldn't do this. They will choose that one just because they feel like they're more like them, have more respect for them.
I think one thing too is it's almost more important for the lender to call on a VA loan, because they're not, like, the standards for appraisals are higher as far as condition of home, but sometimes getting those buyers approved is actually less stringent than it is, because the DTI can be higher, and there's a lot of things that lenders can do to get VA buyers approved that they couldn't for someone else. So I think that that's important, you know, for the lender to communicate to the listing agent, because a lot of people think like, oh, VA, it's so tough, it's, you know, so many red flags. It's really not. It just, you know, if you're not well educated on the process. And I think, Marley, something that you had touched on when we were kind of planning out this content was, you know, we're talking about those homes that hit the market and we know they're going to have multiple offers. But one thing that Marley keeps an eye on are the back on markets, right? So homes that were on the market, had those 15 offers, went under contract quickly, but then maybe something happened and they came back on market. So like, you should always be combing back through those searches and looking at back on markets and things like that for those buyers with lower down payments. As well as one thing that we do is old expireds and circle prospecting those neighborhoods. So if you know that there's a 5-block radius that your client wants to live in, calling those homeowners or calling those agents from those listings to say, hey, are you still trying to sell? And if they are, you might be able to work something out there.
And I think that for those people that do not want to call expireds, like it freaks them out, they don't know how to get the number, call the agent that had the, do you still have a relationship with them? Do you want to call them and see if we can get this deal done? Also doing letters to off-market homes. I have a stack of them over here that my client, so I tell them like, hey, if we can't find anything, research your neighborhoods, tell me 2 neighborhoods, like no more than 2. What do you want? Like, do you want to be in this neighborhood? Great. I will hassle every single person in that neighborhood. I'll go through the tax records, find ones that are in their price range, bedrooms, bathrooms, and start writing letters. And then just, I'll door knock them.
Marley, mails all of Charleston. I have a buyer looking for you.
I have them right now. That's what I've been doing. Then I have these packets too. Like I get intense. So like I can't open it because it's sealed, but I do letters and packets. I just try to stay in these people's faces. So if you can get an off-market deal and not deal with bidding wars, that's ideal.
Yeah, for sure. All right. 2 quick questions before we hit the top of the hour. If someone says they cannot waive the appraisal contingency, do you recommend telling them to wait or continue submitting offers?
I say just submit them without it, but make sure that everything else is nice and clean.
Yeah. I mean, because we've won a lot where they're not waiving appraisals. We accept them without waiving appraisals. But Robert, what were you going to say?
If you can't, I've got actually a client. It's funny. I've got a client today that doesn't really want to remove his appraisal contingency, and he's in Northern California. So I'm doing a FaceTime tour today with him at 4:00. And I've already spoken to the lender, and the lender said he can remove the appraisal contingency in 7 days or less. So if you can't remove it,
Yeah,
cut it down as short as you possibly can, and then let the seller counter. And if the seller counters and says you got to remove your appraisal contingency, then you have to come to Jesus talk with the buyer. And if they can do it, great. And if they can't, then it is what it is. It's just like the FHA buyers. You know, if you're putting 3.5% down and they don't have a lot of cash, like Candace said, you're going to work extra hard, show them 3 to 4 times as many homes. It's doable, but you got to work for it.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and also with the appraisal, like really focus on talk to your buyer saying like, these are the comps. Like I know it's going to appraise or appraise near it. And by the end of the year, you're going to have equity. And then what Robert said is that money is going towards your mortgage. So it's going to actually benefit you. It's just tough at first.
Well, and just something to note here, I don't know if it's different for y'all, but like if we don't waive the appraisal, if the appraisal comes in low, at that point, you know, the buyer can either bring more cash, the seller can come down in price, we can do something in the middle, you know, so it's not always that it's like life or death, right? We may be able to work something out between both parties. And I think that's sometimes something we forget. But one other question, do you guys have automations with your CRM to educate your buyers and sellers? Or do you guys have any like video series or anything like that? Or is it just more so case by case?
I don't have any automation, anything. Does Candace, do you have anything?
The one thing that we're doing right now for our hot buyers we're setting them up with an immediate search, meaning that the moment that a home hits the market that meets what they're looking for, they get an email, and then I'm CC'd on that. So I know the moment it hits the market, and I call them and I say, hey, I just sent you this property. Do you want to go see it right now? So, and creating that sense of urgency too, to get them in the door right away.
Yeah. And I think too, as far as the education, like, I think there are obviously some parts in the process that could be automated, but right now it's difficult. Like, and I think it needs to be an organic conversation every time. Robert, do you have anything else to add on that point?
No, I mean, Candace and I use the same database. So, you know, we do send them a search immediately, and then we put them on a GGMS automated campaign. And I don't know how it works, but it works. I mean, we get listing calls and buyer calls all the time, and they're like, your follow-up is amazing. And I'm like, I have no idea who you are, but let's do this. So, yeah, I mean, automation is pretty important these days. So Marley, you got to get on it.
No, I have that, but I don't consider that like automation. So I do the ASAP emails and then I'm CC'd on it, but I didn't feel like that was what they're asking for. So I'm not stupid, guys. I'm doing that too. I just don't have like educational like automation. I mean, I do a newsletter every week, but
yeah,
market updates.
Yeah, we send out the emails like in each step of like, hey, this is what to expect, and here's a video about it. But as far as like the beginning process, that's more of an organic conversation. One last question was, Chris is a Houston agent, but her parents want her to help her buy a house, and then her parents want her to help them buy a house in Dallas, don't have access, but really want to help them out. Having any showing agents in Dallas. In a situation like that, being 4 hours away, I get that it's your parents, but I would try to partner with an agent and maybe do a higher referral fee to where you're still involved. But 4 hours away, like, I mean, Candace, that'd be like you selling in like Miami almost, right? Or Orlando. Like, I think it would probably just be a little bit difficult there.
Yeah, she should definitely partner up.
Because yeah, I mean, I've done that before where like someone had a family member here that I sold their house or helped them to purchase it. It was like a 50% referral fee or something like that. But all right, y'all, we're almost to the top of the hour. I really appreciate everyone that's watching, but I really, truly appreciate your guys' time and all that you have shared. Y'all's contact info or Instagram handles are all on the screen there, but just real quick, Candace, where can people reach you? Email or phone number, something like that? I don't know.
They can just Google me, find me on Instagram or Facebook is the easiest way to get a hold of me.
All right, perfect. Marley, what about you?
I'm not going to give out my phone number, but you can definitely find it online. But finding me on Instagram is probably the easiest way. Email me at marley@marleypresswood.com or go to Things Marley Does on Instagram.
Perfect.
Yeah, same with me. Instagram, just follow me, DM me, and I'm pretty active on it. I'll respond right away.
Awesome, y'all. Well, truly appreciate your time. Thank you all that have tuned in, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. Thanks so much, Katie.
Thank you.
All right, y'all, if you are still listening to this episode, it was jam-packed with so much great information on how to help your clients win in multiple offer situations as a buyer's agent working in a seller's market. So hope you took away some good nuggets. Share this with a friend, but hope you're having a great day, and we'll see you next episode.